ខេឥឡូវហ្នឹងគាត់កំពុងតែមកហើយ
Hello, Alex. We've heard in the recent news that there 10 activists were sentenced to prison for 6 to 10 years in Cambodia. And we want to learn more about what really happened in Cambodia. Can you introduce yourself and tell us more about what really happened in Cambodia?
So my name is Alejandro or Alex Gonzales Davidson. I am the founder of Mother Nature Cambodia, which is a environmental activist group from Cambodia. And we have been engaged in environmental campaigns for 11 years, 12 years this year. I was living in Cambodia for a long time. I was eventually deported and exiled due to my activism. And since 2015, we have had, more than 18 activists sent to jail in total. And the last 5 activists were jailed on 2nd of July. Some to 6 years in jail, some to 8 years in jail. And right now we, of course, still in a state of shock. But at the same time, very happy to see a lot of people paying attention to the issue, especially inside Cambodia, internationally too. And I'm also particularly happy about the fact that more and more young Cambodians have expressed a desire to join us and help in any way they can. So, that's a little introduction of myself. Yeah.
Thank you for that. So we wanted to know what really happened to those 10 activists. Why are they jailed, or why are they given that verdict of being in prison for 6 to 8 years?
So 10 people have been found guilty. I'm one of them. There's 5 who are in jail. And there's 4 more who are in relocation. Out of these 4, 3 are former members of our team. They were charged without, by mistake. They're not even current members of Mother Nature Cambodia. And the charges are for 7 people out of the 10 plotting, which is not many countries have this, the crime of plotting. It's basically committing violence in an organized way against the state. And there needs to be, well-organized, violent uprising. So obviously the charges are completely fabricated. And then 3 out of the 10, including me, are plotting and also lèse-majesté, which means insulting the king. So the 5 people who are in jail, they've been sent to 5 different prisons all across the country. Which is, of course, a very, very difficult thing for their families and their supporters, because these prisons are far. They don't have anybody living. They don't have anybody in the prison who is also a political prisoner. But at the same time, these are young people who are strong. All of them have been to jail before. Some of them have been to jail for 5 months. 3 of them out of the 5 have been to jail for 14 months. So they're strong. They knew that this could happen. They've been preparing themselves mentally for 2.5 years since they were released on bail. And most importantly, they know that they have the backing of Mother Nature Cambodia, and they have the backing of pretty much the whole of Cambodia. They have the backing of everybody except the Cambodian dictatorship, of course. Yeah.
It's so sad to know that these young people fighting for nature basically is being jailed for their activism and for defending the environment. So now my question is, what are the impending threats to Mother Nature Cambodia and the rest of the Cambodian civil society organizations?
I think that's, in a way, that's 2 questions. So not to maybe the answer is going to be too long, so I'll try and keep it brief. That's my point. So threats against Mother Nature Cambodia are going to continue. They've been happening for non-stop for 11 years now, nothing new. They will continue to accuse us of being illegal, of not being registered as a legal entity in Cambodia. They will accuse us of trying to overthrow the government through violent means, even though, you know, all we do is do videos on Facebook and TikTok. So obviously not much violence there. One real possibility is that in the next few weeks, few months, when the remaining activists continue doing videos on sewage, you know, sewage being dumped into rivers, or they continue doing their ongoing campaigns on trying to protect the forest and the environment, the government will quickly accuse them of also being involved in plotting and also jailing them. That's a possibility. And then in terms of like what are the biggest threats towards civil society, we just see year after year how since 2017 especially, that the Cambodian dictatorship is now like not even pretending anymore. Since 1993, when the United Nations went into the country, celebrated organized free elections. From 93 to 2017, there was kind of like a facade, like a circus going on where we pretend to be a democracy. There is a semblance of political parties. There's a semblance of civil society. There's a semblance of independent media. And 2017, once the relationship, especially financial and political relationship between Cambodia and China, it started increasing exponentially, then that's when you see the beginning of a sharp decline between of freedoms and of course civil society. If you are registered in Cambodia as a legal entity, as an NGO, you are going to find it impossible to do real frontline advocacy. So what you will be doing is basically protecting human rights defenders or reporting about. So if you want to be a frontline activist like Mother Nature Cambodia or like many other people, of course, you cannot really be registered in Cambodia as a group. What you need to do is you use your rights as a Cambodian citizen enshrined in the constitution, especially Article 35. So the threats will continue. And I think one of the reasons why they will continue is because the Cambodian dictatorship, which is a family dictatorship, the Hun Sen family, they have realized that the new generation of Cambodians that is coming up now, they are more informed, they're more brave, they are smarter, they use social media as a weapon, and they are completely non-violent. And I think that the Hun family regime, they are really afraid of this new generation of Cambodians. So despite more and more repression against civil society and NGOs, you are going to see more and more active citizens. And the kind of people we work with are actually young Cambodians who want to be active in the protection of the environment and the protection of their country. So even with all the repression that's happening, even with more repression, there's not going to be a shortage of any shortage of environmental activism happening in the next few years. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I think there's good news to sort of, not so much, but I think you see that Cambodians, the younger ones, are stronger now and they know what's really happening and they're braver than years back. So given these circumstances, you have China being involved and the Cambodian dictatorship. What are your plans moving forward?
I think one of the important things is to realize that this is not only Cambodia which is demanding more and more freedom. This is not only Cambodian people. This is Thai people. This is Burmese people from Myanmar. This is increasingly so countries like Malaysia and Indonesia, which are becoming slowly but surely democracies too. Laos and Vietnam, you don't see much movement, but people in Vietnam, people in Laos, they want freedom too. So I think that the future in Southeast Asia is really bright, and I think it's really important to say this. It's similar to what Latin America used to be in the 1970s, where you had so much repression by the Argentinian, Chilean, Uruguayan, Bolivian dictatorships, and then within 10-15 years, all of these countries became not perfect, but they became democracies. Civil society was emboldened by so much repression. Argentina, Uruguay, Chile, are a good example, where you have thousands and thousands of dead people tortured and killed and disappeared, and yet civil society and people in general stood up and created quite stable and strong democracy. I think that Southeast Asia is going through a similar period where if you look above, if you look at the sky, the clouds are very dark. You might be thinking, oh, things are really bad. They will get even worse. But the reality is that people are demanding more freedom. And I think that what's happening in Thailand and Myanmar is very inspirational. Cambodia is not going through a civil war. We hope it never will do. But it's very inspirational. And I think that inspiring each other is one of the things that young people in Southeast Asia are doing. So I think the future is very bright, but we have to be strong and we have to be smart about how we continue with our campaigns.
Thank you so much. And I definitely agree that it's really high time that we show solidarity more and have this collective action, because Southeast Asia is really, the trend is going on from one country to another in Southeast Asia. And we only have each other to actually make our goals achievable through our solidarity work. So my question now, mentioning solidarity, how can people, organizations show support and solidarity to Mother Nature Cambodia? And in what form of support do you think can be really helpful to Mother Nature and the rest of civil society in Cambodia?
I think if you the most important element here is in relationship to the 5 innocent activists who are in jail, is Cambodian people expressing their views on social media, demanding that they are freed in a large way. The Hun Sen family is a very repressive dictatorship, but they use Facebook, they use TikTok, they realize that Cambodians use these social media apps too. And we have in the last few years seen how Cambodian people in general, only through online campaigns, can actually protect certain parts of the environment or make the government reverse some of its decisions. So you have to have that. Cambodian people, if they stay quiet, these 5 activists will not be freed potentially for quite a long time. So the good thing is that we are seeing just that. We're seeing a lot of anger, a lot of resentment from Cambodian people, especially by the way that they were arrested in front of the court. They were grabbed by the neck very violently, and then they were sentenced to 6-8 years in jail, and then they were put in jail in different remote parts of the country. So I think Cambodian people are like, that's too much. That's just too much. You shouldn't be doing that. So that's one thing that's already happening. The second one, in relation to your question, is like, people in Southeast Asia or NGOs in Southeast Asia, in the region, I think there's a very important role to play, where not only through public campaigns, but also through talking with members of parliament, talking with governments in Malaysia, Indonesia. And these governments and these members of parliament making public statements, or non-public too. We know how diplomacy works. Sometimes diplomacy, you don't have to be public. So I think that Hun Sen and his son, who is Hun Manet, is the son of Hun Sen. He's a puppet prime minister. The real prime minister is Hun Sen. I think that they will be, if the European Union makes a statement or if the US makes a statement, they might not want to respond to it positively because of pride and influence of China. But I think if countries in Southeast Asia, like Thailand, governments in Southeast Asia, or parliamentarians in the region, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, if they make statements and if they ask them to free the activists, I think they will comply. So this is one of the things that the regional groups or people in the region should do. This is what European and American democracies have been for a very long time. So I think that Southeast Asia, it can happen too. Use your right as a citizen. Yes, these are not activists from the Philippines or from Indonesia, but ultimately they are fighting for a better environment, which is a global issue. It's a regional issue. So I think that it should concern all of us. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that, Alex. We really need to take note that it's high time Cambodia should not be alone in this struggle for freedom. And finally, I just want to ask, is there any specific calls to action that you want to reiterate or put emphasis on for the organizations or for the Cambodian people, for all of us in Southeast Asia?
I think the team is now working on several of these calls for action. I think there is 2 or 3 happening already. We have many partners. We are Mother Nature Cambodia has been working with partners from the region and from other countries for a very long time. I can't say which call for action because there's just so many, and there's more coming soon. But what I can say is that, you know how these things work. Everybody knows is that a hashtag, free the 5 Mother Nature Cambodia or something along those lines, that could go a very long way, especially since there has been so much traction in the media internationally. Today, we were interviewed by a Thai TV news channel. Yesterday, again, you have top newspapers from several continents talking about us. So obviously, it's a very well-known issue. The images of the arrest are very strong. You are talking about 5 young Cambodians, 2 are women. They were not only completely innocent, but they were also sitting very peacefully in front of the court, showing an act of incredible bravery. And yet they were snatched away, put in a car. So obviously, humans have a heart. So when we see these things, we feel hurt about it. So obviously, any call for action will be successful, or it will have more of a chance of success because of the nature of the arrest. Yeah, and may I add, the fact that Mother Nature Cambodia in November of last year was the recipient of a major award, Right Livelihood Award from Stockholm, which obviously doesn't guarantee that you will not go to jail, as we can see now, but it guarantees that there are more eyes on the Cambodian government and there's more media attention, as we are already seeing. Yeah.
Thank you very much for updating us on what really happened and what can we do as civil society organizations and people in Southeast Asia. Thank you for your time tonight.
Yeah.